The Imperial Symphony Orchestra has come a long way since its founding in 1965 as the Lakeland Civic Symphony. Since that time, the organization has been entertaining and inspiring Central Florida audiences. And going into its 50th season will be no different, with performances that include world-renowned guest artists, favorite masterwork selections, and even some new experiences. All the details and when you can catch their performances are coming up on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Jeremy Morady, and with me here in the studio is Amy Wiggins, Executive Director for the Imperial Symphony Orchestra.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Thanks for coming in.
We're glad to be here.
Well, this is a big year for you guys. 50 years in Lakeland and all kinds of performances over the years, and you got a heck of a lineup coming this year.
We really do. This has been a lot of fun for me. I'm relatively new at the Symphony, and so I happened to come in at an amazing time. Not every symphony orchestra gets to celebrate 50 years, and we're very fortunate because we're a community orchestra, which means most of our musicians are volunteers and play with us because they love the opportunity to perform symphonic music. So our season this year started in October, and we had a special piece commissioned for us, and then of course we did a concert at the holidays. And one of the neat things that we did this year was partner with the Mulberry Phosphate Museum on a concert that we called Fossils. We got to play some music from Jaws and Jurassic Park, and that was a lot of fun for the families because they could dig in the fossil pit and learn a little bit more about Polk's rich history in the phosphate industry, and then also hear a fantastic concert and even walk around the orchestra a little bit and connect with the musicians.
So with that, did they actually got the hands-on experience along with the music? And
yes, so our mission is to educate, entertain, and inspire. And so we really this year, our board of directors and our president, Greg Sale, really wanted to focus on that education piece, and so it was a perfect partnership for us to kind of carry the success of our annual cookie concert over into the fall. And Chelsea and the folks in Mulberry were a great partner, and were able to help us bring the symphony to a new audience and intertwine some science and some history with it as well. So it's really kind of multidisciplinary, for a big word.
Oh yeah. Well, now, what do you guys have planned for coming on the rest of the year?
The rest of the year, we just finished up our 15th production of A Night at the Opera, which is incredibly unique because we are a symphony orchestra that commissions opera singers to come and sing with us, not an opera company that hires an orchestra to come in. So it's a very unique partnership for us, and it's built a lot on the relationships that we have with some of the vocal teachers at Florida Southern College, and Greg and Christina Sale, who are professional musicians as well. And so we just finished that. That was a lot of fun. We're able to invite students to perform with us as well as community members, and we actually had 4 singers on stage at Branscombe Auditorium that had also sung on stage at the Metropolitan Opera. So it was an amazing night for Lakeland and for Polk County. Next up in our Masterwork season will be Music of the Stars, where we have a visual artist. His name is Adrian Wired. He's developed, along with, I think it's the Northwest Symphony in Seattle, developed a visual accompaniment to Holst's The Planets, which is a 7-movement overture. And it's based more on astrology than astronomy. It takes into account the personalities of the names of the planets rather than the planets themselves. But Adrian and his group have been able to intertwine some images from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the rovers and the Hubble to make a visual accompaniment to go with each of the movements. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really beautiful.
So now is Pluto included in this as
No,
part of the planet?
no.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, the planets was composed between 1914 and 1916, and as we know,
Okay.
Pluto wasn't discovered
Yep.
until later and has since again been demoted.
Yeah.
So no Pluto and no Earth either, because Earth was not an astrological personality.
Okay.
So that will be a lot of fun, and that will also include our Young Artist Competition winner, Lauren Thielen, is a student at All Saints Academy, and she'll perform with the symphony. She plays upright bass, and I think it's a Capuzzi concerto for symphony and bass, so that will be a lot of fun. We always enjoy when we're able to feature our young artists, especially local talent like Lauren. So that's March. Lots of exciting things going on there. Then in April, we've got Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which is the Ode to Joy that most people recognize. And we will be joined on stage by 4 soloists, Mark Thompson, Thomas Potter, Stella Zimbalist, and Christina Sale, in addition to the Florida Southern College Chorale, the Southeastern University Chorus, and the Lakeland Choral Society. So we'll have more than 200 vocalists on stage, in addition to our 80 musicians, to perform Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and that will be April 19th. So we are closing out our season in grand fashion.
Sounds like it.
And that's just our Masterworks season. So then on May 1st, we'll have our cookie concert, which of course Public Supermarkets Charities helps with. And then on May 6th, Southern Homes is partnering with us to present Pops by the Lake, where we'll do a fun movie-themed kind of event.
Okay. Sounds wonderful.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Well, with this being, mainly community-driven and, maintained over 50 years, or right at 50 years now, not over. How is it that you keep growing, getting bigger, and keeping those folks interested to keep donating their time as well? I know that's got to be a challenge as well.
You would think that it is, but it's really not. Barry Zimmerman, who is our principal percussionist, has been playing with the symphony for 47 years.
Okay.
He was our Young Artist Competition winner in the 60s, and he will actually join us to do a timpani solo in the March concert.
He's impressive.
But he's amazing. He's a local business owner and still wants to participate. If you have a love for symphonic music, you want to share that with everybody that you can, so it's not an effort to encourage people to play with the symphony. The majority of our symphony members have been with us for 20 years or more.
Well, can you take us back through a little bit of the history on how it got started and how it's kind of evolved from the old days?
Sure. Well, those who remember, for our final Masterworks concert of last season, we kind of reprised the first ever Lakeland Civic Symphony concert from 50 years ago, from 1965. And it was so fun because Pat Sutton, who was an original vocalist in that concert, was with us in the audience. And this concert all came about in 1965 because Dr. Ken Anderson, who was with Florida Southern College, and Jay Erwin, who was a local business owner, owned a music store, and later everyone remembers him as principal at Oscar Pope Elementary School. And they had an idea that they wanted to share not only symphonic music, but music with the community. And they knew some people, because Jay had the connections at his music store, that loved to play also. And a group of 35 volunteers got together and rehearsed for a few weeks and invited some folks from the Lakeland Community Theater, who at the time I think was probably still Pied Piper players, including Pat Sutton and Homer Hooks, who had just finished a production of My Fair Lady. And so they came on board to sing and play along with, and they played amazing works. They didn't just play, middle school band kind of.
Yeah, this isn't a
stuff.
Mulberry Town band, going through the street kind of thing.
It was amazing. They played a Beethoven piece for their first concert, and then some Broadway and played at the Lakeland Civic Center and at Mayhall Auditorium, and they started out with just a glass jar in the lobby for folks to drop a few dollars in when they came. And over 50 years, they slowly kind of infiltrated the community, as it were, and became more connected to other areas of the county than just Lakeland. We have a fabulous relationship with the city, of course, with the Lakeland Center, but we also have great relationships with folks around the county, from the Mulberry Phosphate Museum folks in Bartow and Haines City and Winter Haven, and even Lake Wales. So they slowly kind of built on that, and it was that passion and that excitement for continuing to share the music. The strings program in Polk County Schools was created largely because of members of the Imperial Symphony Orchestra, because they knew that that was such an important aspect, and that creativity is driven by the arts, and they wanted to bring that to our schools and not just have it as an extracurricular activity. So over the years, they've touched so many parts of life in Polk County that it's difficult to imagine what would happen if the symphony weren't around.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. So, well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing all this with us. Look forward to a fantastic season for you guys. And
oh, thank you.
Happy 50 years.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. It was my pleasure to be here.
In 1965, a group of musicians led by Florida Southern College professor Dr. Ken Anderson and Lakeland businessman and educator Jay Erwin decided they would organize an orchestra to provide classical music for the community. Today, 50 years later, that small effort has grown into a highly polished regional orchestra made up of more than 80 exceptionally talented and mostly unsalaried musicians who still play for the love of bringing classical music to the Central Florida area. Join them as they celebrate their golden anniversary with performances around Lakeland throughout May. For performance schedules, give them a call at 863-688-3743 or check them out on the web at www.imperialsymphony.org.